Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Playing for Sushi. Today we're sitting here with Panasonic Impulse's linebacker Jaboree Williams, the reigning MVP, and we're going to hear this guy's story because it's a pretty crazy one. I did my research on you. And so, Fort Lauderdale High School,
yes sir,
Wake Forest,
yes sir,
and now Panasonic, right? And you growing up and things like that. I look, and you went from Fort Lauderdale High School. You had a great high school career. Then you go to the ACC, Wake Forest, right? You didn't redshirt, which is you went right into it.
Straight into
and so playing in the ACC, what was that like? Because that was prime ACC.
Yeah, I would say playing the ACC probably one of the most competitive things I've done in my life. You playing against Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Mitchell Trubisky at the time. You had Jacoby Brissett at NC State. You had some guys, the Dalvin Cooks, Mike Williams, the Samuel. You had some guys in the ACC. So I would say in my 4 years, Clemson was always number 1 and number 2 in the country playing. Florida State was like number 10-ish. You had good teams. I ain't gonna lie. Every week you seen like a first round draft pick somewhere. So it was super competitive. But going to Wake Forest, we weren't the most athletic. We weren't getting the 5 stars. We were getting the 3 stars. Guys here and there. So I mean, it was amazing. I'm not gonna lie. It brought that competitive nature out of you because you're playing against these guys, and you kind of had to hone in on your skills, hone in on the little details because you're at little old Wake Forest going against Clemson, Florida State.
It's our old little Wake Forest.
Well, not anymore, but when I was there, I first came in, we went 2 and 3 and 9 seasons back to back. My junior year we won 8 games, and my senior year we turned up 9-10 games, played Texas A&M in the bowl game. So
beat Texas A&M.
Beat Texas A&M, had to get the boys right. But yeah, man, I would say playing the ACC was experience of a lifetime, to be honest.
Yeah, and then then you kind of had some turbulence in your career, right? You had a little bit of stint with the Eagles. Then you tried to join the allegiance of American football.
Yep.
That collapsed.
Yeah.
You went to the XFL.
Yeah.
That collapsed. And then you tried to join the indoor football league, and then
COVID.
The whole world went. Right. What was that like? Because I know that's a challenge to go through. What was that like for you?
I would say it was depressing. I went through like a depression phase throughout that time of when I left college. I went to the Eagles. A kid from Florida, single mom. Kind of the older male in my family.
Yeah. Everybody
looked at me like, oh, you're gonna go to the league. Have been the best football player out of my high school. So everybody was like, oh yeah, you're going to the league. So I get to the league. I'm there. I had a great camp, and I get cut. And for a kid like from South Florida, football is our thing. Like, everybody knows Florida for football.
Florida, yeah.
It kind of, when I got cut, everything in my world crashed down. It's like, and I went to Wake Forest, but really prestigious school. Degree means a lot in this world. But a kid from Florida, man, I gotta get to the league. So when I got cut, it was I went through that kind of depression phase, but then brought myself out of it. Well, God brought me out of it. AAF, XFL, IFL. I went through those stints with those teams and everything. Bankrupt, COVID. So at some point, I'm just like, man, football ain't meant for me. I need to go figure out, do something. Maybe I should just go coach or go get my master's and use my degree because I went to Wake Forest. So I would just say that whole process was just depression. I went through up and down through depression. I faced depression like crazy, but God brought me out of it all.
I noticed you're very strong in your faith, and I see on your social media and things like that, and I read up on that, and I'm glad you got through that. I'm glad your faith got you through that because now you're here, balling out, and so how did you get interested? Because you came in through Red Phoenix, but that wasn't the initial, right? There was somebody that played the middleman and things like that.
So originally, Carlton hit me up and years before, but it was on my I have 2 Instagrams. I have my main Instagram and a training Instagram like I made. So I didn't see that, and it's crazy how the world works. He hit me up then, and then I ended up on this team regardless. But Gino for just Gino, works for a company, Red Phoenix. They hit me up. Through a guy that is at Wake Forest, my guy, 𝐒𝐿. He's the recruiting coordinator at Wake Forest. He has a really close friend that works for Red Phoenix. And his guy was like, hey, man, you know anybody like that want to play ball overseas? And they hit me up. I'm not going to lie. I was about to take a coaching job.
Yeah, you were going to do a GA.
Yeah, I was going to be a GA. So they said, you want to go play football in Japan? I'm just like this. Japan.
Yep. At this point, I'm in my life like, man, I might as well just go try it. Like, I love football. Let me just go try it. So, I go through the process with my guy 𝐒𝐿. Then I meet Gino, and Gino's talking to me. He's telling me like, football in Japan is like really good. I'm just like this. Gino was a stud, man.
I did my research. I'm like, okay, he's nice. Like he's nice, but him telling me this stuff about football in Japan, like, I don't know. So I'm on YouTube, like, looking up all X League games. And then, Ed was kind of the middleman. Once Gino kind of, we went through the process, connected us. Me and Ed started talking, and I ain't gonna lie, I was like, oh, Ed, cool.
Ed's
Alabama State guy, like, my sister went to Alabama State also. So it was just kind of like, oh, he's mad cool. And just talking with him, and I was like, I gotta
call him Slim Ed now.
Yeah,
he's slim, man. No, I played against him back in. Now I think I see him, but like, oh, you slim
he's
now.
Like 106 kg.
Yeah, that's what that's slim head now.
Yeah, but that was kind of my journey here.
Nice, and I mean, you came in, the COVID year. I mean, I don't know if I can count that as a season for you. You played 1 game, and I remember watching you in that game, and I was kind of like, I know you were kind of fresh off the airplane and things like that, and I remember watching him like, this guy, he had a rough day, but he's actually. And I remember talking to Gino after that game, like, where are you finding these guys? Because I saw what you were that you had. I was like, oh, this dude can ball and stuff like that. And I'm glad you didn't play as good as you could have in that game, because, I got my last championship that year. Thank you. You came in to that first year, then last year you played your full year. Kind of what, transitioning from Florida all the way on the East Coast, coming over here into 𝐒𝐿. What was that transition like for you?
Man, it was great. It was crazy. So I get here 3 weeks before we play 𝐒𝐿. Semifinals. So you remember at this point it was quarantine for sure for 2 weeks. You had
like 2-3 practices when you played a game.
I'm gonna practice 30 plays. So my first 2 weeks here, I don't know anything about the culture, and everyone's like, oh, like they said, you have to stay in your room for 14 days. So I'm ordering Domino's every day because that's all I know. Domino's, pizza. So I'm Uber Eats and Domino's.
You wasn't on your little 𝐒𝐿𝐶𝐶 yet. No, I see you. Yeah, I see you. Don't worry.
So I'm ordering Domino's every day because I'm hungry, and I didn't know anything about the convenience, anything. Yeah. So I'm ordering Domino's every day. So, I'm getting fat. I'm getting bigger. Like at this point. So after that, I get out of the 2 weeks of quarantine, and I go back to practice for that 1 week, and then we get against 𝐒𝐿, and I am just out of shape, like in the worst shape of my life, and I'm just out. It's already, they put me at Mike Backer. So the communication is already like I'm from Florida.
Yeah, you're the mic, right? You're like pretty much the quarterback.
Right. And I'm out there talking, and like my teammates are talking to me in Japanese. I'm just like, what? Yeah. The only person I have is Moses. So I'm like, Moses, what's the play? And Moses, like, he's trying to focus. Yeah. He's trying to tell me to play, and I just feel so bad. I'm like, damn, I know he's aggravated. Like, I'm like, Moses, tell me to play. And then we lose, and honestly, I thought I was gonna get cut. I honestly thought after that I stayed an extra 2 months in Japan. I was like, let me get my sightseeing out of the way, because they about to send me back to America. Because that was a bad showing. I get in the meeting, my coach, he's like, man, I'm gonna give you another chance. Like, don't worry, like, don't stress about it. And I went home and I told myself, I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna show I'm the best player in the league. I'm about to win, what you call it. So I come back, I grind hard at home in Florida. I come back, I'm taking Japanese class, so I'm starting to pick up the language a little bit. And last year, I just had something to prove last year, and All right. And I think now being in Japanese class every week, like it's easy to like communicate with my teammates now. So it's like, let's go, man.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about right going into last season. I remember you posted, I don't know if it was you or somebody, you shared that you had wrote down the goal, right? You wrote it down in a journal that you were gonna win MVP. And in my time here, you were the first, and I don't think it's been a long time since a guy on defense won an MVP. You know, over here it's always been quarterbacks, running backs. And so kind of like for me, I was like, dang. Even though it was, you know, I mean, it wasn't, you know, it was like defense guy got one, you know, and kind of things like that. And I mean, how big of a moment was that for you when you found out?
So I would say, so you know, writing down, you always write your goals down, but you know, with me, it's always been like faith wise. Like my mom always says, write down what you want to do, because if you write it down, it'll come true. Then rather you just saying it. Write it down so you can look at it every day in your mind and say, I'm gonna do this. So I wrote it down, and I was like, man, let's get it. Like, MVP, championship, everything. Let me write everything I dream on doing this shit. Write it down, and we get to the season. So when I win it, I'm just like this. I just said, man, God, I just think about the times I was depressed. Just like, God, I can't give you nothing but praise. You really took me from being a depressed kid, getting cut, doing all this, to I'm the MVP of the league. Like I was just so thankful. Honestly, I didn't show my emotion in front of the team, but I went home and I cried. I called my mom. I was just like, man, God is so good. Because, you know, I remember where I was 2-3 years ago, and look at me now. Like, God has brought me that journey. Although it's not the NFL MVP, but I want an MVP. Like, I want something in life, you know. So I was very appreciative and very thankful, and, you know, I gave all the glory to God, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was impressive. I mean, like I said, all my time here, it's always been quarterbacks, running backs. I think one year it was a receiver that won it. So, you know, to finally have seen somebody win the defense, even me, like, I was like, oh, yeah, like, seriously, I was like, dang, yeah, like, finally, guys on defense, we get some love. Like, I was like, man, we get some love. I was like, oh, well, at least somebody's watching, you know. So, I mean, you know, like, yeah, because, I mean, for it's hard, right, statistically, to always stack up against a quarterback or running backs and things like that. And, yeah, you guys had a stellar season, and unfortunately, right, it fell short and things like that. But now you guys seem to be back rolling. You know, things seem to be going really good. And one thing, like, I did notice as your career has gone, right, last year, this year, you know, your first game, yeah, you were at Mike, but now you're at Mike, you're inside, you're a linebacker, you're off the edge. Kind of, you're wearing all these different hats now. When did that, because I don't think you were like that at Wake Forest, right? You were kind of just a inside backer, right? You know, so kind of how has that been transitioning to all those different roles now?
Well, I would say transitioning first from a middle backer to like kind of DN outside linebacker. Yeah. I was just kind of like, man, hey, Carlton, it's like, we're going to move you here. We think you'll be more effective here. And I never played like, on the line. Like, you know, high school, everybody plays everything. Yeah, I never played like serious on the line. So it was really a learning curve. Like, you know, I went home every day studying Von Miller, Aaron, like these guys up there, Bosa's and the Bosa brothers. So I'm just like, man, I got to learn. I got to become like, you know, so much better of an edge rusher to help my team. How can I help Panasonic? It's not going to be at Mike backer. It's going to be off the edge, you know, getting pressure. And middle backer is just something I've always did since I was young. Yeah. So it was kind of like, that's the easy part. But playing all those positions, just whatever to help us win. You know, we have sometimes, you know, guys get injured. We have depth problems. So, you know, if I have to step back, I have no problem doing that. Just to whatever Panasonic needs to win, I'll do it no matter what. So that's kind of
and you guys are like, you guys have a loaded defense. I mean, right? You guys have Moses. You guys have Josh, Motu. I mean, your D lineman, your guys' second string D line could be like, I mean, just like you guys rotate, and I'm like, wait, which one's the second team? Which one's the first team? Like, I don't know, because your guys' depth and your guys, you know, things like that. Is that, you know, your guys' culture and practicing things like that? Is that something that's kind of drilled into you guys at practice, that it doesn't matter who's next man up or things like that? Ones and twos don't matter.
Yeah, I would say it's all like we just have fun. Like, listen, show me what you can do. Like my backup. Shimi, Like I love that guy to death. But like he competes. Like you know, we come over here as foreigners, like they automatically start us. And, you know, the guy behind us, he's like I want to play too. But that guy, he comes to work every day. Like no complaints. Like it's just kind of like we just try to have fun. Like the thing about football is it's a kid's game, regardless of what. Like you know, we play football because we want to have fun with each other. So you know, I try to drill that into the guys. It's all about fun. Like you guys go to work and then have to get off. To have some fun, please, because you're at work all day.
It's a stress relief,
right? So come have some fun. So I think it's all about really just enjoying the game, appreciating the game, because at some point it's gonna be over with. So just appreciate it and have fun. And
never know.
That's kind of our thing.
Yeah, and you talked about Moses, and there's just one guy. There's one guy I couldn't interview you without giving him a shout out. You know who this is? Motu.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What's it? That guy, loved him, knew him when he was in college. How big has he been for your defense and for you personally?
I don't think I could be the player I am here in Japan without, Motu calls and those guys, because Motu, we playing kind of the same position. Yeah. So he's always in my ear. Okay, I see this. I think about this. What you think about doing this? What you think about doing that? I would say he's been huge in my process here, growing as a player at Panasonic, off the field also. Funny guy.
Great, yeah.
Kick it,
Love that guy.
He's super important to our team, because someone who is a hell of a player.
Yeah.
A hell of a person.
Yes.
So it's like you need those guys like that to have a successful football program. And so I would say he's huge for our defense. He means a lot. I don't think we'll be in the position we are today without his guidance, just because he's really smart and he's hilarious. Like he's serious sometimes barely, and he's always funny. But you need that, with a team like Panasonic, a company team, because these guys are going to work every day. Yeah. They're working all day and then they're coming to practice. So you need guys like that. I think he's very important and vital to our success.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great player. Like I said, I remember watching him as a college player. I remember watching him and he joined Panasonic, and kind of he was, like him and Carlton were kind of like in a funny way. They were like the younger version. Like you don't know who KJ was, but KJ was kind of getting up there at the time. But they were like us. It was the one guy on the other side and the two DNs on each side, and I loved watching that guy play. And as he's become more of the veteran player, I've kind of seen you become that role that he used to take on. And that guy, there's no way I could have interviewed you without bringing him up, because love you, David. And just to kind of go, to Japan and things like that. I know you're a big 𝐏𝐶𝐶 guy, but what I mean, hey, like I am too, trust me. I gotta try and keep it, a little bit now. But what else is, you said you was eating Domino's all the time, but
I don't eat it no more.
You probably eat a little bit less, right? But what other things you enjoy here in Japan eating?
So I like unagi. I love ramen. I love ramen.
Did you grow up eating ramen in Florida?
That's the thing. It's like
I figured. I've been to Florida. I've been down that side, so I don't.
You know.
Yeah. Not a lot of ramen.
Not a lot of ramen. So I would say probably curry is probably by far my favorite. Unagi. My coach Rocky takes me all the time. Here and there to go eat unagi, and I love ramen. I would say those are my top 3. Ramen is just.
It's funny. So it's funny that you say like Japanese curry. In Hawaii, there's a lot of Asian influence. So I grew up eating this style of curry. Like ramen, we kind of a different version. So like cold rainy days, mom would cook it up, ramen. And so like it's funny, like I kind of know on the East Coast and down there in Florida and stuff, I know there's not a lot of ramen. So that's why I was like, when you said that, I was like, oh, that's kind of I mean, bro, it's so good. Yeah, ramen will put you to sleep.
It's cold right now, so it's just
it's the perfect. This ramen season. And kind of to cap it off, I mean, you're still young in your career, and what are some of the goals? You're a goal guy, so what are some of your goals for yourself, for Panasonic, and just Japan overall for the future of football here?
I would say my personal goal is to win multiple championships. Just bring championships to Panasonic. help the guys at the company become better football players. I want to take them to America, them to see my culture. I've been here experiencing their culture. I want them to come see me, take them to Wake Forest, see some games, some stuff like that. For the game of Japan, I just want it to grow. It's so much potential because, I watch 𝐒𝐔𝐒𝐈𝐍𝐶, Jose, I watch all these universities play. There's so many talented kids out here. They just need the exposure.
Yeah.
So I just want, for the game of Japan, I just wish they can get exposure to America. Take these kids to a camp in America because some of these kids are really good and they can play in America. They just got the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to grow where some guys get more opportunities. Like the IPP program with Ricky. Ricky's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be more guys getting that experience here in the X League, whether they're 𝐒𝐔𝐿𝐷, Fujitsu, Pana, Tokyo Gas. It doesn't matter the team. Guys should get that experience. So.
Well, you guys had a receiver, Kino, right? He went to Istanbul for a bit.
Right.
Kind of a rough patch, but for him to have gotten that opportunity is huge.
I just think, I personally want, I'm sure everyone does, guys to get more experience. Cause we came from being, we saw the game in America, and I just these guys, man, just imagine if they didn't work and they just got to train all day, So I want these guys to get, more experience and go to America.
Yeah, and the younger, so when I first got here, there was never really talks of guys doing this. There was never I want to go play in the States. I want to go do this. These last 4 or 5 years, man, there's a boom, and I get messages from high school kids. Hey, can you help me get my video out? Can you, and things like that. So I think there is a big drive, and I hope, we can continue, to help the game grow, with this show and things like that. And thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it. Continue to have a long, healthy career. I enjoy watching you play, man.
Appreciate it.
You really are. You really are fun to watch because I love that style and I love you watching you play and continue to be a great example on and off the field. You're a great man on and off the field. We hardly get to hang out, but I watch you from afar and continue what you do and you're a great example and appreciate your time, man.
I appreciate you, my dad.